Hey guys, Mel the Terrain Shooter back in the studio and back with another sort of vlog come tutorial. I don't even know what these things are. Yeah, but basically back to another along for the ride with my Big Burma Build. Now if you don't know what my Big Burma Build is, yeah, here's a link and here's some pictures. So that's where we are so far, and in the last vlog, yeah, what we were doing is basically adding all our foliage. So if I bring all this up, yeah, you can see all those lovely, lovely plastic plants. And my very, very grey beard. That's very grey. Step away from the camera, boss. Yeah, and then on top of that, what we had to do is we had to come up with some dense terrain because Bolt Action has changed its rules and included a new type of terrain type, and we didn't have any jungle terrain that would represent it. It's one of those shows, isn't it? Right, yeah, but we came up with these with the idea that troops will be able to move between the gaps, okay? But I posted some pics online and a lot of people thought they're done, you know, because I posted, you know, the pics you've just seen, yeah, and everyone thought, oh yeah, wow, they're amazing, they're done, and they are nowhere near done, yeah, so this is the stage where I've got to really start adding the foliage, and that means a lot of different techniques. I'm going to be using one of my favourites, my vulcanized rubberized horsehair. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we've got coconut fibre to do, we've got various other things to play with. And basically we're going to really foliage them up, but I've got a very specific technique in mind. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is, I'll show you the technique as I always do, yeah, but I'm going to sort of take you along for the ride with preparing the materials, and you know, there's a few other things that we need to do on these, yeah, and then at the very end I'm going to pull it all together and show you the technique and hopefully take these from, they look quite nice, to, they look beautiful, you know what I mean? That's the plan anyway. Yeah, so with that in mind, next I need to start preparing sort of ground substructures, you know what I mean, like my coconut fibre, my rubberized horsehair. So I'm going to get those together now and we'll get cracked on, eh? Come on. Right, first material I need to prep is my vulcanized horsehair, rubberized horsehair, and it's an upholstery material. They put it in really old furniture. It was very common back around in, you know, Victorian times, but it's a brilliant substructure. Now if you look at it like that, you can see how dense it is. And what we use this for is we essentially spray adhesive, yeah, and we make it into stuff like this, okay? But as you can see, I've already been preparing quite a bit, and I've got more to do. This is nowhere near enough, to be perfectly honest. And all it is, yeah, you just separate this up. All right, so straight down the middle. And you get those sort of mats. Now you can just pull these up in little bits and make bushes. As you see, that's flat, which means it's great for gluing. At the minute, for what I need these for, I actually need these sort of little strips, yeah, to do what I need to do. I'm not so concerned about the bushes here, yeah, because I've got plenty of bush to go on this, yeah. I'll be getting more, but it's these little bits that I need, yeah? So I'm going to crack on with these. Once these are all done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them down to a bit of cardboard, and then I'm going to basically prime them. And I'll prime them with something like Army Painter Brown, yeah, one of the prime sprays. Okay, so I better get cracked on, Anna. Right, these have all been mounted on a little bit of 3mm MDF, yeah? It's just a veneered bit of scrap I've got. I've used blue tack. Fast adhesive, yeah, just stick it down while we prime it. The next job is I want to give all these a really good prime with Army Painter Brown, yeah, one of the spray adhesives, and once it's done, they'll be essentially done for now, yeah, so I'll give them a bit of spray and I'll bring them back once they're done, yeah? And that's them all sprayed up. Yeah, they're still drying, they're giving off some hell of a fume, so I'm going to go stick them in the corridor and let them vet, and I'll gas the rest of the residents rather than my studio, because mine's got like a low-flying cloud in it in the minute. Right, now these are done, next job is coconut fibre. Better crack on. Right guys, it's been a bit of a while since I touched these, well over probably about a month and a half, maybe even 2 months. Yeah, and I know I'm halfway through a video, or at least started a video, and I'm sort of lost. So I've sort of come into the studio today getting cracked on now my commission is done and I can get stuck into my own stuff. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I know I'm working on these scatter pieces, yeah? My sort of placeable jungle terrain stuff. Now, with that in mind, looking at them, there's a couple of jobs I need to do. Obviously I need to finish the foliage off, yeah. But before I do that, I need to add a little bit more colour to some of these plants. Most of them are okay, yeah. But these, yeah, if I grab that one, yeah, they're a bit bright. They need a bit of a shading on, that sort of stuff. Now, what we would normally do is, yeah, if you've not got much to do, you get a little tub of that, yeah. Yeah, and it works brilliantly, you know, just wash it on and it gives you some lovely brown colours. But obviously, I've got quite a lot of this jungle stuff, so doing it with Agrax Earthshade is going to get expensive. Very expensive. I don't even know if GW still sell it. Yeah, but me being a Terraniac, of course, yeah, there are other options available to us. Now, I'm going to make my own washes. So what have I got? Right, I've got what here is a wash base, which is 1 part matte medium, which is that stuff, Liquitex matte medium, and 3 parts Flow Aid, yeah, which is Winsor Newton's, what do you call it, Flow Improver, diluted 1 part of this to 20 parts of water, yeah, so that's the 3, yeah, 1 of matte, yeah, and then all I need to do is, I've got some sepia and umber inks here, yeah, FW inks, they're sort of the standard acrylic inks. All I'm going to do is take about that much of this, yeah, drop a few drops in, and that will make my own Agrax Earthshade, yeah, because basically it's a flow improver, it's a matte medium as bonding, and it's an acrylic ink which will give us a nice translucent look. Okay, now if you're interested in making these, there's a video in the Back to Basics playlist on exactly how I make this stuff up and the inks and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so that's there for you if you want it, guys. I could use watered down paint, but it's a bit opaque, yeah, for what I want to do. So my next job is I'm going to mix up some inks and we're going to basically brush it on. We'll come back and we'll change the colours on these a bit, eh? Right, better crack on, I'll see you shortly. Right, that's all done and it's worked beautifully. It's knocked back the vibrancy on those little bushes perfectly. So if I bring it up, yeah, do you see? Yeah, rather than being really bright and green and sticky outy, yeah, they've darkened up lovely. Yeah, now obviously, yeah, there's other pieces on here, but they've got variations in colour, and I can always put a very fine wash on those later on as part of the sealing process, just to knock them back. Okay, but it was these bushes in particular that were just too green. Too green for jungle. Right, next job, I want to put some jungle floor down, okay? Now these are supposed to be scatter pieces, these are supposed to be placeable troop scatter pieces. So I don't want to fill it up like I'm going to do with my other ones with loads of stuff. So I'm just using some basic jungle floor stuff. Pardon me. Now what I have here is, I have a mix of coarse turf and flock, or what you call it, all blended up. Yeah, which is a nice base. And then I've got something a little bit rougher, which is my scrub mix. Yeah, which is much the same, but it's made with lichen and clump foliage and that sort of stuff, and gives a lovely sort of jungle floor look, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so I'm going to be using this to lay down my jungle floor. Now, here's the challenge, okay? If you're interested in how I made all this, there's a video in the foliage playlist, guys. Yeah, it goes through all that sort of stuff, making your turf mixes and that sort of stuff. Right, now this is too thick, yeah, to apply with PVA, because if I put PVA down, it'll only stick the bottom of it and the top will be loose. So what I plan on doing is I'm just going to drape this over the various bits that I need to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use watered down PVA, and I'm going to drip it straight on, because that will penetrate all the way through and fix it down. I don't need to get a particularly solid hold on it, because I'm going to be adding more PVA and more clump foliage and more sealing later on anyway. So we're building up its resistance to breaking apart, you know, bits falling off over time with lots of little layers rather than hammering it. So my next job is I'm literally just going to grab bits of this, yeah, and what I'm looking at doing is I want to keep my muddy paths sort of open, so I'm just going to drop it in around where my plants are. Yeah, now I am going to come in and put some other foliage in with it, foliage, however you say it. Yeah, but if I put that down there, if I bring that up, yeah. See where I'm going with that? So that's the battle plan. Then afterwards what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll use a dropper, okay? Something like a pipette or something, or a syringe. Yeah, I've got plenty of things, I'll figure it out, what you call it. But we'll use a dropper to actually fill up and and to seal that down. Now, normally when I'm sealing with watered down PVA and that sort of stuff, I'll use my airbrush, okay, because it gives me a nice thin mist. The problem is in this situation, if I use my airbrush on this, because most of it's loose, it's just going to blow it away, hence the dropper. Okay guys, so that's my next job. Basically, I'm going to be sprinkling this stuff onto this, and we'll come back when it's all done and it looks all pretty. See you shortly, guys. Right, I'm in the process of sealing this one piece up. I'm doing them one at a time, yeah. It's not the most time efficient way of doing it, but, you know, this is my project, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Alright then guys, yeah, as you can see, yeah, I've sort of added the clumps to this, and if I tilt it up that way, you can sort of see the effect I'm going for. I can't tilt it all the way because it's not properly stuck down yet. Right, what I've got here is I've got 1/4 PVA, 3 parts water, and a little dash of flow aid. Yeah, that's why it's bubbly. That'll allow the water and the PVA to flow really well through the clump foliage. And if I bring it up, and if you look at that one, it looks a little bit damp and wet. See, it's fallen off already. Yeah, that's because I've already done that one. Now, what I wanted to do is just show you what I'm doing, because there's a technique to this sort of thing. Okay, right, do I do it like this, or do I put... Right, okay, let's have a bit of a giggle. Come on, no, we better do it on the desk. Right, let me zoom in, guys. Right, so we're working on this one here, which is a load of loose stuff. So, what I do is I get my little pipette, yeah, like this. When I bring it in, what I want to do is, I don't want to just hover it over the top and drop it down. Yeah, what I want to do is actually stick it in and do it that way. Okay, now there's a reason for that. If I come along, see how that's all soaked in? Okay, immediately as the PVA water flow aid solution has hit something, it's spread out. Now what happens if I drop it, yeah, like this? What you get is, off the plant of course, what you get is literally drops, and because of the nature of water, it sits on top. Yeah, and you can get blobs and stuff like that, and it becomes difficult to actually get it all over the piece. So what you do is you come in, and while it's nice and low, just give it a little bit. Yeah, and that's going to just spread out through all those. Yeah, you can even suck it back up a bit if you're really good. That's next level modelling, that is. Yeah, don't worry about getting a green end, it's not a problem. But that's what I'm basically doing. I'm going along, I'm soaking in, so when all these dry, they will dry nice and hard. I'll be able to add the next layer of clump on them. Yeah, so I better get stuck in with this. More picks. Right, that's all done there, all waiting and sealed, and if I bring them up nice and close, yeah, you can see what I've done. Now, it does look very green, it does look ridiculously blobby. Really does, doesn't it? Yeah, but that's okay, because the greenness of it is because it's got Jarvis flock in it, and that leaches colour when it gets wet, and it helps it all blend. Yeah, it works really well. So I've used this stuff loads of times, so I know it's going to be fine. But as it starts to dry, yeah, what you should end up with, come here you, is this one, which is the one we did first. Yeah, and you see how once it dries, you get the different textures of the lichen, of the clump foliage, of the static grass, of the scatter. That's all in this mix, and it does look rather beautiful. Now I've still got a bit of clump foliage and stuff to add to this, but I need them to dry first. Yeah, so we'll put these up for a little while, we'll let them dry, and then we'll come back, just add a little bit of clump foliage, okay, and they'll be pretty much almost there. But lovely little scatter pieces, aren't they? Hey, right, here's some photos, and you know, I'll be back in a sec. So these are pretty much dry now. They're not 100%, and I should really leave them for longer, but it's my terrain project, and you know, best practice would be leave them to dry. Let's crack on, eh? Right, next job. I've got my ground cover down. I need to buff up, because what we've got is we've got large foliage, we've got ground foliage, but we've got no medium foliage. Okay, now I've got a whole host of stuff I can use for that, and there's stuff I'm prepping. But a lot of it I want to save for the more overgrown features, not these scatter pieces, because I want to be able to put troops in these. You know, these little guys, once they're painted up. Yeah. So, Yeah, with that in mind, I need to keep my foliage relatively simple. So you're looking at me and say he's got stuff on his desk. Right, what have I got? Right, I've got some clump foliage, yeah? Now what I've got is some homemade stuff. Come on. Yeah. It's got a nice, what you call it, nice olive drab green to it. And then I've got some of the Jarvis, what you call it, tree and hedge foliage. Yeah, which if I bring it up to there. Yeah, and I love the texture on that stuff. Absolutely love it. And then finally what I've got is, yeah, I've got a big bag, yeah, of reindeer moths, lichen, lichen, yeah. And what I'm going to be doing is looking mainly for the darker colours in it, yeah. This stuff is just too vibrant. If I put it next to that, it just doesn't go. But the darker stuff, and if you grab it and grab the heads, you get like bush-like structures. Yeah, so when you look at this stuff, what you'll see is, it's very much like a lung. There you are, that's the physio in me coming out. Yeah, where you've got your main, what are they? Bronchi, bronchioli, and alveoli. Yeah, but you've got your main passages, they split off into branches and they split off into lots of little bits. And it's the little bits that you want that make it look like bushes. Yeah, but what I do with this stuff is, let's say I take that as a bush and I've got that left, that gets thrown back in there because over time it will dry out. Yeah, and that horrific yellow colour will fade to that. Yeah, and that's beautiful. And we'll be using lots of that sort of stuff later on in the build. Now obviously, yeah, that's still wet. Typically when I'm sticking this stuff down, I would use hot glue. Because you push it down, it glues, it's fixed. PVA ain't brilliant at this sort of stuff because as PVA dries, it shrinks away and then it struggles with anything which is sort of uneven to get a decent bond. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm using PVA with a gel component. Or Mod Podge. And this is all it is. Mod Podge is PVA. Yeah, if you can look at the technical data sheet, yeah, it lists PVA as its main ingredient. Yeah, but it's sort of a gel compound. And what that means is it's brilliant at bridging those gaps. Yeah, so for this sort of stuff, it's brilliant. Not just that, even though this is wet, it won't affect it because it'll just sit on it quite fine and then it will dry out. Yeah, so my next job is basically, I want to get lots of this sort of stuff, put it on there, and make it a bit more greener. Yeah, as I do it, yeah, what I'll be aiming to do is small bits, yeah, around the edges, and where you've got these like two plastic plants clumped together, yeah, I'm going to use the larger bits in those essentially to build up the line of sight blocking. These are supposed to block line of sight through them but allow troops in them to shoot out and people to shoot out in on the troops. So if I bring it up, you can see that all the spots have been sort of offset, yeah, so there's no clear straight path through them. Well, that's what I aim to do. The idea being that once it's all foliaged up, it will actually block line of sight unless you're inside it. Win, eh? Right, no rest for the wicked, so putting some clumps on, putting some lichen on, and we'll bring it back when it's looking beautiful. And I'm back. Don't they look beautiful? Right, these are all clumped and foliaged up, and if I pass them up, yeah, you can see the effect I've gone for. Smaller clump foliage around the base and then building it up with that lichen, yeah, to give it that look. Oh, I've got a wobbly plant on this one, I'm waiting for it to dry. Yeah, so only one on all the lot, but I happen to be the first one to touch on this bit of the video. Typical melee. Yeah, so as you can see, it's really got that sort of overgrown jungle feel, but I've maintained the space in the middle so I can get a squad in there and I can move troops through it. The other thing that I've done, and it only applies to it, the only one it doesn't apply to is this one because it's quite a large piece and the pieces are spread out, but I've pretty much blocked all the line of sight through it. So although troops can move through it and there are paths through it, yeah, there's no line of sight, so players can't get down to table level, look through and actually see troops on the other side, which reinforces that style. I'm not sure what's it called. Dense terrain, I think it is in ball action. Correct me, you know, yeah, in version 2, but it works really, really well. Everyone to pick that off. Yeah, so that's them done. The next job I've got to do is a little bit of sprinkling, a little bit of it with the airbrush, a little brown, just to sort of blend the edges in so it doesn't go from green to it to brown straight away, but there's a bit of transition where the mud and the dirt is splashed up and that sort of stuff. Yeah, but I can't do that until it's all dry. So I'm going to leave you with some photos, guys, and we'll come back when it's all dry for the final touches. Right guys, fresh day and all our pieces are lovely and dry. Now if I bring one up, yeah, there you go. And I really quite like them, but it's not enough, okay? Now I was thinking about this and I was looking at the photos I'd taken on my phone, yeah, and if you look down, what you've got is we've got the transference from the plastic foliage down to the large bushes, which we use there, the lichen lichen, yeah, and then we've gone down to the clump foliage, and then what we've got underneath is, if I pull that back there, you can see our ground covering there. Now, when I put the ground covering down, I should have spread it out more, to be truthful, yeah, because the clump foliage is sort of exploded over it and I've lost a lot of the ground covering in a lot of the places, and what this has left is, if I bring it up really close, yeah, you get that impression. Look, trying to get it straight. Yeah, you get that impression of it's there, but it just looks like there should be more little stuff. Yeah, so what I want to do now, okay, is I'm going to get same foliages, my same ground foliage, my same lichen, yeah, my same clump foliage. Yeah, I'm going to break it up into lots of little bits, and then I'm going to selectively add it, okay, and then, you know, I'll seal it with watered down PVA again, yeah, but just to get that more of an expanse of foliage on it, yeah, get that transference just right. So that's my battle plan right now. So I'm going to get all that set up, and once I've got a couple of pieces done and I'm rolling, I've figured it all out, I'll bring it back and show you, yeah? See you in a sec. Right, got it down now, and I've gone back to my basic jungle scrub. Yeah, the Big Burma Build scrub mix. Yeah, as I said, yeah, there's a video on how to make this stuff in the foliage playlist. Now, let me show you the difference it's made. Now, this is one piece I haven't done yet. Okay, so if I bring it up, yeah, and if we bring it round, you can see that it's nice. It is nice, okay, but if I bring it round like that, yeah, you can see there's a definite, get it right, boss. There's a definite dividing line between the brown ground, yeah, and the big green brushes. Okay, and it's nice, yeah, but look at the difference coming in and re-adding that ground cover. That scrub mix does. Yeah, so if I bring that up, same path. Yeah, and it's not particularly about the colours on this. Okay, now the fact of the matter is, when I seal this, because of the nature of the Jarvis Scenics, it's all going to go dark green anyway. I already know it's going to go dark green. Yeah, the original stuff underneath it went dark green. That's perfectly fine, because, yeah, I know I'm coming in and I'm doing more stuff on this, like weathering it. Yeah, but without tipping it all off, if I tip it up, you can see the sort of textures I'm getting, and how by going in with this, yeah, and blending the edges and literally adding it in, it blends the bushes into the ground far better than with the original one. Now for sealing it, yeah, what I've got here is I've got 1 part PVA, 3 parts water, yeah, and because the initial one I did with a pipette, yeah, with this one, because I want to keep the volume and I don't want to be dropping big drops on it, I'm just using one of these, yeah, which I believe is an irrigator syringe, I've been told. Yeah, but there's the name of it if you want to stick on eBay and see if you can get some. Absolutely brilliant. And it's all it is a matter of coming up, if I do it very carefully on this one, yeah, I'm just I didn't want to put it's stiffened up with it being PVA, and I didn't want to go mad on it. Yeah, but all I'm doing is I'm coming in and I'm giving it a little bit of a soak just to fix that stuff down. Okay, now like I say, I already know I'm coming back, I'm doing more work on this, I'm going to be sealing it, I'm going to be sealing it with PVA, I've got some more weathering to do on it, I'm going to be sealing it with matte varnish after the PVA's dried, so I don't have to worry too much about getting it stuck down solidly for gameplay. I just need it stuck down enough, yeah, so I can continue to work, because the other techniques like sealing it with PVA, like the weathering techniques, are going to be using an airbrush, and if it's not stuck down, yeah, I know from experience, I'll just blow it all away, okay, with the pressure of the airbrush. So a little, just to stick it down, we'll get it properly firmed down when we actually do all the sealing, and I'll save that for a different episode. Now what I'm going to do is, very quickly, I'm going to seal all these up. I've got one that's sort of cooking in the oven, if you know what I mean. Hopefully I can show you that, what it looks like a bit more dry, but I know because of the volume and the way this works and the temperatures in here that these aren't going to be dry for a day or two. Okay, so more than likely you're going to have to come back in another show to see them dry in the next episode, but you can see where I'm going with this. So let me get these sealed, yeah, and then I'll come back and we'll wrap this up, yeah. Right guys, these are all sort of sealing now, yeah, so I've got to be gentle with them. Yeah, but they do look beautiful, and if I bring it up, you can see how putting that ground foliage in and blending between those big clumps has worked so well. Yeah, a lot more realistic. Now it is very green, that's the bleeding out, yeah, that we spoke of in the past. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, because the bottom of a jungle floor is actually, you know, the plants tend to be very dark green because there's very little light, and so they have a different type of chlorophyll in them compared to the top plants, which are a lot lighter. Chlorophyll alpha and chlorophyll beta, but you know, you can look that up online or ask me about it. I love talking about that sort of stuff. Yeah, on top of that you can still see quite harsh definitions between the green and the brown. There's still that weathering to do on this, yeah, where I'm going to go in with some brown and just blend that in, yeah. So it's a little bit of work, we've got to do it, yeah, but I'm going to do it round about when we start doing the rest of the pieces and the ceiling and all that sort of stuff, yeah. So I'm going to put these up for a little while. We're going to get out the other pieces, and next episode we're gonna foliage up and go a bit more deeper with foliage. This is essentially my basic stuff, yeah. Small bushes, medium bushes, bit of ground foliage. We're going to take it up to deep jungle on the next video, yeah, and start looking at adding a few other elements. Now I know that there's going to be people saying, well, Bosicle, all that's on there is a bit of lichen and a bit of clump foliage. You know, okay, it looks nice, but it ain't that impressive. What about all the static grass, the tall reeds, and all the other wonderful terrain products you can get? And to that, dead simple, I do plan on adding those. But what I don't want to do is clutter up one piece, these early pieces, too much. I want to keep them nice and simple. And then once I've developed a theme for the jungle, when we move on to the other different terrain sets that will make up the Burma build, I'll be able to use different elements of scenic materials on those, and that will create a visual cue that it is a different type of terrain. For example, this is deep jungle, okay. The next, you know, after this I might do dried fields, so we're looking at a lot of light static grass, a lot of lighter bushes, not so dense. You know, we might do water, in which case we're looking at reeds and tall grass and that sort of stuff. We don't know, but we will tie in the foliage into the build. Yeah, so it creates a feeling on the table. Now the other thing is, yes, this is very green, I've talked about it, but above all it's the structure I'm after. Yeah, that blends those edges in so well. Now, so we'll put this up and I'll crack on this, yeah, next week more than likely, and we will probably have another video in it in about a week or two, to be perfectly honest. Now, just a bit of admin. I'm not going to be around for Monday's live show. I fly off to Beasts of War for a Beasts of War boot camp on Friday, and I'm not back until late Monday, yeah? So I'm off to play a bit of Rune Wars, do a bit of painting, have a bit of a jolly, and I need a break, to be perfectly honest. That's the main reason this long shot is at this and not at my face like it normally is, because I am knackered, my skin is horrible. My skin's horrible. I'm just run down and I need a good break. Yeah, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take the weekend off. I'm going to skip Monday's show because I'm not back until very late Monday night, and then I'll throw up a live show, and that's when we get properly back into it, and we'll crack on more with this, with our deep foliage and that sort of stuff. Yeah, so in the meantime, guys, obviously, yeah, if you've got any questions, any suggestions, anything like that in the comments, yeah, like and share as always. Yeah, if you do like these videos and you'd like more of them, please consider the, the Patreon thing or the PayPal thing. Every dollar does help. It keeps me in the studio, it keeps me making terrain and sharing this knowledge and these techniques with you guys. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to do terrain. It takes a lot of time to do terrain tutorials with all the editing and that sort of stuff. So it does help, guys. So if you're interested, yeah, I'll throw some links up now. And obviously, yeah, there's the PayPal link down below. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, click the subscribe button. In the meantime, guys, have a good one, and I'll see you when I'm back from my jolly. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra.